Cyborg studs you when the bar closes. You're still hanging around. You can join my crew in flight for Illyrium. When the star catches on fire and it burns brighter, we'll have won in flight for Illyrium. When the star catches on fire and it burns brighter, we'll have won.
Hi, I'm Michael Everts, and this is Fit to be Read. Samuel R. Delany's Nova, published in 1968, is a unique and fantastic space opera. As is to be expected with this author, Delany delivers the weird, the wild, and the world building. Delany is a fantastic writer with a very unique writing style. All of his work that I've read is fit to be read, and along with Nova, I would highlight and recommend Babel 17, also reviewed on my channel, Dahlgren and Stars in My Pocket Like Grains of Sand, as well as the not specifically science fiction, silent interviews on language, race, sex, science fiction, and some comics, a collection of written interviews. Nova is an entertaining, galaxy-spanning, fit-to-be-read science fiction novel. I recommend this novel to science fiction fans who love a great grail quest or a great white whale obsession vibe type of space opera. If you enjoyed books like Snow Crash, Shards of Earth, Babel 17, or Ancillary Justice for their atypical starship crews, this will likely be well received. As with each review on this channel, the episode will begin with a spoiler-free review, character analysis, and plot summary to introduce you to this novel. Following the summary, I'll announce a 5 likes and 5 dislikes segment that will include spoilers for those who've read the novel and are still thinking about it. Engage with me in the comment section and let me know if you enjoyed the intro music for this episode and if you have any thoughts about this book. Nova is definitely a classic space opera, but also would be correctly categorized as cyberpunk. The main character, Captain Lork von Ray, is a mixed-raced character and feels like a blend of Jay Gatsby and Han Solo. Lork is wealthy, entitled, determined, attends high society events and parties. He races spaceships. Physically, he has a highly identifiable scar, though is otherwise very handsome. Playboy Lork von Ray is the heir to a vast fortune, as the Von Ray family owns one of the largest intergalactic transportation companies in the galaxy. Lork's nemesis, Prince Red, is heir to the Red fortune. The Reds own Redshift Limited, the other dominant megacorporation in the galaxy, another behemoth in the transportation trade. While there is conflict between the two families, these are the mega wealthy, and the mega wealthy don't fight the way that everybody else does. Delany introduces, though doesn't quite rely on the trope of, keeping your enemies close. The Von Ray and the Red children, they're left to play with each other. The adults attend exclusive events together. The feud is not always on display or center stage. At least not at first. At the center of the generations-old feud is a rich history of competition and cultural identity. The Reds are centered on Draco, the federation that includes at its center the Earth. The Von Rays are linked to the Pleiades, or the star cluster near the outer colonies. The Reds are more interested in wealth and dominating the economics and the politics of the galaxy, whereas the Von Rays are motivated by, yes, some of the same things, but also a passion for purity of the outer colonies and that star cluster area, free from the overreaching dominance of the Earth and Draco. The Redshift's monopoly on the means for propulsion in the galaxy is a big factor in this threat of encroachment. Lork is hellbent, and has been hellbent for a long time, to acquire a very rare resource, a substance called Illyrian, that he believes he can acquire in proximity to exploding stars, or supernovas. Therein lies the Grail quest, as Lork will need to recruit a crew and visit a number of worlds to investigate the feasibility of his plans, make arrangements, and gather relevant information. Flooding the market, so to speak, with Illyrian would certainly throw a wrench on the works for Redshift Limited and Draconian encroachment, control, and influence. The novel is set thousands of years in Earth's future. The worlds Lork and his crew visit are interesting and rich in geography and culture. The world building is great because it's vivid, even if it's not that deep. Delany has a habit in this book of introducing a world and giving great details like flowing lava rivers and economic disparity between the working class, the middle class, and the wealthy, but failing to deliver complete follow-through. At times, he introduces an interesting concept or a characteristic, but he abandons it before he finishes the thought. A reader who adapts to this style and this practice will enjoy the ideas and likely forgive the neglect in the storytelling. Delany appears to forget to share some necessary description, but scores solid points for managing to distinguish in so few pages different worlds beyond just superficial characteristics. Society, economics, economic disparity, culture, all get lip service on these worlds. The supporting cast is always a highlight in Delany's work. While this group is interesting and diverse, I can't say that it's as colorful as the crew in Babel 17. Standouts are Mouse and Catton, both for their individual depth of character, as well as the interesting and curious relationship that they develop. What's not shared about these characters and their relationship is just as intriguing as what is shared. This could also be said of the relationship between siblings, Prince and Ruby Red. Intellectual, moon-obsessed Catton has been taking notes for years for a novel that he most likely won't ever write. Mouse, or Pontichos Proveci, is a Romani gypsy. He's linked to future Istanbul, among other places. He's traveled around quite a bit. Delany shares a bit of his rich past and his backstory. It's impressive that his past is so varied because Mouse is still just a teenager. Perhaps most notable about Mouse in the book is the sensory syrinx gem instrument that he wields and plays. The sensory syrinx must have been inspired by the Visisonar hologram-producing instrument played by the mule in Asimov's Foundation trilogy. The syrinx produces sounds, scents, and images with nearly hypnotic effect. In the right hands, that which it produces can be highly entertaining and even dangerous. Mouse, Catton, and a group of ragtag others, including an albino, a tarot card reader, and a dude with some unusual pets, all get recruited by Lork and become the crew on his ship, the Rock. Besides Lork, Mouse, Catton, the rest of the crew is interesting window dressing, but really offer little else. It's very cool, though, that they are referred to as cyborg studs. More on that in a moment. The biggest scene stealer in the book is Prince Red. Though Lork is the scarred one in pursuit of his white whale Nova, Red fits much more the Captain Ahab persona. Red is deranged, deformed, and fully committed to the feud. While on paper he doesn't read as terrifying, when he shows up, okay, on paper, he is terrifying, and it's expected that he's going to wreak some havoc. The book is definitely space opera, speculative fiction, and is often referred to as pre-cyberpunk. I challenged the pre in that description, as the only reason to have that in there is maybe because it was written before Neuromancer, the godfather of cyberpunk novels, and because cyber has become more synonymous with virtual reality, neglecting the broader definition, which I contend still includes general computer culture. In the story, characters have sockets embedded in their skin, and they use these sockets along with corresponding neural connections to interact with computers, especially those controlling ship navigation and also other future tech. The book features cyber, and it features punk. Nova by Samuel R. Delany is a fit-to-be-read cyberpunk sci-fi space opera that I've avoided spoiling in my review until this point. Here now are my 5 likes and 5 dislikes that will include some spoilers. Like number 1, par for the course with Delany. If there's a starship involved, you know the crew is going to have quite the cast of characters. Nova does not disappoint. We've got Mouse with his sensory syrinx, the twins, the dude with his pets, and of course Lork von Ray, the yacht racing playboy with his tragic scar, and his rival, the robotic-armed Prince Red. Like number 2, the relentlessness of Prince Red. Even before we know all of his motivations, we get in his head right away and we understand some of them. Every time we see Prince, Even when he displays some sense of calm, we know that rage and the impulsive draw towards violence is just beneath the surface. Like number 3, Ruby Red is almost a miss, as her character could use a bit more shared substance. Her relationship with Lork comes very close to the cliche where his pursuit finally breaks down her walls and she just can't resist, and the enemies become lovers. In that space between his advances on her and her never really accepting is so much unspoken subtext. This, along with the Mouse Catton and the Sebastian Ty relationship, is great fodder for book club discussion and speculation. Like number 4, the Mouse Catton relationship. Delany does a great job of representing characters who are mega wealthy, those who are seemingly middle class or getting by, and those who are gypsies or vagrants. Catton and Mouse definitely come from different worlds, but they bond very quickly. Catton seems to be very self-aware, despite his ambivalence about his novel, while the Mouse, we are in many ways witnessing his coming of age. I may be projecting, but being familiar with Delany and his work, I envision Catton as having a conscious or unconscious attraction or desire for Mouse, and Mouse not being far enough into his own personal journey to recognize it or be available to react to it or receive it. Like other areas of the story, there is a lot of unspoken subplot here. Dislike number 1, I suggest that while interesting and diverse, most of the supporting cast had little to offer. That's not exactly fair, as there is much left unsaid that makes for interesting speculation about the twins and about Ty and Sebastian and even their pets. Despite that, the book ends before really utilizing these characters meaningfully. I also appreciate the use of Yoda voice. I wouldn't be surprised if Star Wars had swiped that from this novel. Dislike number 2. I can neither accept or endorse the physics that would allow a ship to pass through an exploding star while collecting material from said explosion, and likewise I'm not on board with a small shuttle traveling from one ship to another in close vicinity to a supernova. Dislike number 3. I was all set to be captivated by some of these worlds and the lava rivers, net riders, and other interesting features. If Delany could have just given me a little bit more of the good stuff, just a taste, just a little more context. Dislike number 4. I also need a bit more Ruby Red. Like number 5, this paragraph towards the end of the book, it encapsulates almost all of what came before it. This is Catton speaking. We were drifting, you and I, Mouse. The twins, Ty and Sebastian. Good people, all of us, but aimless. Then an obsessed man snatches us up and carries us out here, to the edge of everything. And we arrive to find his obsession has imposed order on our endlessness, or perhaps a more meaningful chaos. What worries me is that I am so thankful to him. I should be rebelling, trying to assert my own order. But I'm not. I want him to win this infernal race. I want him to win, and until he wins or loses, I can't seriously want anything else for myself. Dislike number 5. On paper, the rivalry was pretty basic. Rich guy feuds with other rich guy. The sister is second fiddle to her brother. Good guy wins in the end. This accounts for the pulp fill of this classic. Everything else Delany does and tries to do in the novel elevates the experience and provides a story that is fit to be read. Thank you for watching today. I'm Michael Evers. This is Fit to be Read. Please like and subscribe and watch one of these other videos.